Hey y'all. So I'm out here again, going for another walk. Just want to warn you, I'm very well aware of my surroundings, so if you see me walking away, as you can see, I'm outside. But I just want to check back in. Today is April 1st, so we are looking at post-op day 35, and I am exactly 14 days away from my last and final surgery, prayerfully. How am I feeling today? Today was a good day. Today I woke up, I called my cousin, I sang happy birthday to her to embarrass her. Today would have also been my oldest sister's birthday. They shared a birthday. Rochelle died in 2021, the Saturday after Mother's Day. And today would have been her birthday. Then another sister, Keisha, passed away in 2022 to cancer. She actually is the person that, alongside my husband, Chris, encouraged me and helped me boost up the courage to actually do the research on these preventative surgeries that I was told I needed to have. Have you ever been in a situation where someone sat you down and told you needed to have multiple major surgeries and they were going to alter the trajectory of your life forever and those that are attached to you, and you had a short amount of time to make that decision? I sat down in 2018 and I had a physical with my primary care physician. She said, "You know what? I think you should get genetic testing because cancer runs in your family and it has not skipped a generation." At that time, I was the next generation. Me and my siblings. Excuse the wind. And I also want you to know that if cancer runs in your family and you are a man, men can also get breast cancer. But if it runs in your family, you can get genetic testing. My primary care physician was the first person I heard the terminology genetic testing from. And I said, "What is genetic testing?" And she explained, they test to see if you have a genetic mutation of cancer or not. And you may or may not. There's a 50% chance that you do, and there's a 50% chance that you don't because you have a family history. I said, "Okay." She said, "All right, I'm going to put in for a referral." And so I went and I shared my family history, and they gave me the little tube. You have to spit saliva in the tube to the line, and then they mail it off. And in about, I want to say maybe 2 weeks, they called me back. They didn't tell me the results over the phone. They said, "Come in for the results." So came in for the results, didn't really know what to expect. I'm new to this genetic testing thing. I don't know what you mean. No one in my family ever said they had genetic testing or just never came up. That's what we do, right? We go through things and we keep it to ourselves. We suffer in silence. We don't share information. We're gatekeepers, right? It's just like in 2021 when I had my open myomectomy a month after I lost my sister. Everybody came out of the woodwork saying, "Yeah, I had fibroids as well, and I had this surgery and that surgery and whatever." But it didn't come up until after I had to have the surgery, when it got to the point where it was too far gone. So anyway, tell my husband we make the appointment, we go. We sit down with the geneticist and we sit down with an oncologist and a hematologist. So as they're introducing themselves as the oncologist and the hematologist, I already knew the geneticist. I said, we're sitting with an oncologist and a hematologist. This must be serious. My husband looked at me and he said, "Let's just hear them out." I said, "All right, let's go." So they proceeded to, they had this big screen, and they pulled up what I gave them as far as when we sat down and verbally discussed my family history. So I'm looking at my family tree of people that have had cancer. And they drew it out on this big thing on the board. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, okay. I never even really, it was a little overwhelming a little bit, because you never really think about it when you see it like that. And it's so many. You're like, wow, really? So, open up my paperwork and I'm reading along as they're telling me. And I see in a box, and it says positive. And it says it says the BRCA1 in ATM. Now, not a lot of people talk about the ATM mutation because, I don't know, they just don't. But I know that it's connected to ovarian cancer, right? BRCA1, BRCA2, and a lot of the other mutations that you hear about frequently are directly connected to breast cancer. They can come back in the form of another type of cancer, right? So as they're explaining all of this to me, the geneticist says, okay, so what I think that you should do is, if you want to have children, work on having children now, because it's advised that by the time you turn 40, you have a radical hysterectomy and a double mastectomy. Now, she said all that in one sentence, and I just looked at her like, wait, what? Excuse me? She said, yeah, because you want to prevent yourself from getting cancer, and the statistics are alarming. I believe it's 70% of white women that carry the BRCA gene will develop either breast, ovarian, or both cancers at one point in their life, and it's like 80% of black women. My percentage was higher. I was at an 87% chance of having breast cancer or ovarian cancer or both within my lifetime. So I left, and the first person I called was my sister Keisha, because our eldest sister had passed away. So I'm setting the scenario for you. It's a month after losing our oldest sister. I get the news that I'm BRCA1 positive, and I need to do research and try to get preventative surgeries. I pick up the phone and I call my sister, and I'm telling her everything that's happening, and she's quiet. Well, normally she would have been quiet to listen, but she would not have been that quiet. So I stopped and I said, what's going on? She goes, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. Huh? You say what? The same day I called to tell her that I was BRCA1 positive, she was going to call me and tell me that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So, peradventure, time goes on and on and on. Her hair starts to fall out. So, for her diagnosis, and my being a genetic carrier, I did a big chop. I big chopped in 2018 because I did not want her to go through losing her hair alone. But I also was ready to let go of some stuff. You know, sometimes you gotta let go of some stuff, and sometimes you gotta do something drastic to feel like that weight is lifted. So I did that. All right. We're going on and on and on and on and on. She goes through getting a single mastectomy. That heals. She gets another single mastectomy. She couldn't have a double mastectomy because it was too risky. It's not my business to tell all her business, but just know it was too risky for her to go through with a double mastectomy. So she did both of those. She didn't go for reconstruction. She opted to stay flat. And then she was doing better. I was going to see her once a week. She was doing better. She was moving around. She was, she was doing okay. Other than the fact that she was mourning our sister, of course. Peradventure, months later, I would talk to her on the phone and she would say, my stomach is getting bigger. and it looks like I'm pregnant, but the rest of my body is still small and I don't eat much. And I said, you really need to go get checked out. This went on for weeks, and I kept pleading with her, please go get checked out. I'm scared. She was scared of getting checked out, of what she would find out. I was afraid of her not getting checked out, and then it would take too long, or she would take too long, and by the time she got checked out, whatever it was would have worsened. Well, she finally decided to go to the hospital. She went to the hospital. She texted my phone. She said, it's bad. They want to put me in hospice. I'll call you. Now, a lot of times we instinctually pick up the phone to call somebody else to share our grievances, right? Well, I did that, and I probably should not have, because I did not have the full story. And this person, although their heart was in the right place, directed me to do something that I should not have done. And I did it anyway. But anyway, time goes on, and I finally get her on the phone, and she tells me they've admitted her to the hospital. We're going back and forth, back and forth. Me and my cousin are going back and forth. Me and my husband are going back and forth to the hospital to see her. 43 days in the hospital. And they say, at this point, there's nothing else we can do for her. She's going to need to go in hospice care. She's going to either need to go home in hospice care, live with a relative in hospice care, or maybe go to a nursing home for hospice care. So originally, my cousin was like, I'll take her because I'm a hospice chaplain and I don't want her to go through this alone. And then the plan was going to be, we would rotate. So I would take her 1 week, she would have her 1 week, or we would do where I had her on the weekends, or where if my cousin needed to go out of the house and do something, I could come there and be with her. So then we found out all the medication they were going to have her on. And long story short, it was too much medication for a non-medical staff to handle. And if any of you guys know about round-the-clock nursing, it costs a lot of money. Insurance does not cover it. So we decided on my cousin being her power of attorney, moved her to a nursing home that was close by to where my cousin lives, not too far from where I live, but my sister-in-law also worked there, so that made me feel better. When I tell you, me and my cousin and my husband were up at that nursing home every day. I didn't care who it was with. We was up at that nursing home every day. I mean, we practically lived there. And to watch someone that you're close to, that's your sister, and you've already lost one sister, you lost your parents young, it was a lot. But I was in therapy for losing my other sister. So then I started talking about this sister, and it goes on. So I'm watching my sister die, who is my husband's age, who is dying of the cancer that I have the gene of. And the last conversation I had with her before she stopped speaking was, please consider the preventative surgeries because I don't want you to end up like me. Now, I wanted to break down, but I couldn't. I had to be strong for her. She was always the strong one for me. It was my turn to be strong for her. So I kept that in until I got in the car. I don't remember if I was in the car with my husband or my cousin. I told them what happened and I just lost it. But I will tell you this, I was there with her when she took her last breath, and it was life-changing. And it took me a long time to get that visual out of my head. But what I will say is a part of that gave me the courage to say, I need to go ahead and I need to have these preventative surgeries. I want to encourage you. If you have breast cancer, if you have a cancer gene that you carry, a mutation, or if you have a family history and you don't know if you carry this mutation, please get your genetic testing, whether you're a man or a woman. It is free if you have a family history. If you feel weird or you feel different, if you feel like your stomach is getting big for no reason, don't sit on it, get it checked out. It's not always, oh, it's my diabetes. It's not always that. It's not always that. You can check yourself at least once a week, either in the mirror or in the shower, to check to see if there's any abnormalities to your breast. Get your yearly mammograms, get your checkups. If they tell you need to do ultrasounds or breast MRIs, do them, please. I am pleading with you to take your health seriously in 2025. We're losing a lot of people, and it is a very scary journey. It's a painful journey, and it's a long recovery, and there are lasting, the aftermath is a lot. There's lasting scars. I have a scar from my navel down from the open myomectomy. When I had my radical hysterectomy, it was laparoscopic, so I have 5 scars. I've had a double mastectomy. There's scarring there. There's also bruising there. There's scarring under the arm. When they do the transfer, they're going to have to cut again to take the expanders out and place the implants in. But I just want to encourage you guys, take your health seriously. I'm going for a walk. You know, it really shouldn't take for something tragic to happen to you for you to take your health seriously. But whatever it takes, take your health seriously. You don't want to get in shape for vain reasons. You want to actually live a healthy life so that you can be here. My mother died at 43. I had a sister that died at 48 of cancer. It was ovarian cancer. And another sister that died at 50 of a really bad asthma attack. Life is so precious and so short. And you don't want to take for granted that tomorrow is promised. Get your house in order. Take care of your health. And remember, you don't need a whole lot of people to rally around you. If you have that, that's great. If you don't, as long as you have one person, you're good. I have my husband. If you don't have a spouse or a friend or a sibling or a cousin or an auntie or uncle, somebody that's there that can hold your hand, I want you to go online and I want you to find your tribe. Find your tribe. There's a lot of people that have been where you are or that are going through what you're going through. And sharing your story is very therapeutic. If you're about to embark on a double or single mastectomy, I want you to get in contact with Brocka Strong. They're on social media. You can even Google them. Give them your information. They will send you out free of charge, a pre-mastectomy package. It'll have everything you need to help you with your drains and all of that. Well, this video is pretty long, and I did not want to wrap y'all heads off like this, but I just felt led to say this. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a productive week, and I hope you take what I'm saying into consideration. Now go ahead and follow, like, share, and comment. If you have any questions, concerns, you can either put it in the comments. If you want it to be private, my information will be in the cards. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye.